We have just landed on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and we are here to do a very special project. We are going to design and build our dream tiny home. A while after I met Rasa, I told her that one day I would design a tiny house for her, and I would call it the Rasa Mahal. And now I'm doing that. We've been wanting to do an Aussie project for a while now, and after meeting Joe and the LJM Tiny Homes team last year at a tiny home festival in Adelaide, plans were made to take this dream to the next level. Our original idea was for this tiny house to be a home base for Rasa and I in Australia, something that we could potentially set up as a short stay rental when we're not in the country. But in the end, we've come up with an even cooler idea, which you'll have to wait to find out about. Over the past few months, we've been hard at work collaborating on the design of this tiny house. We wanted this place to be really special, something that would really reflect our lifestyles, and a place that we could also experiment with some really fun design ideas that we've picked up on our travels. After many Skype calls and emails, we made the trip across the Tasman to sit down for an in-depth design brief in person. Here, we finalized our design and also took the time to go over all the specs of the tiny house. This was an opportunity to make sure that all of the aspects of the design were talked through so that everyone was on the same page when we started construction.
So I'm Joe from LJM Tiny Homes. I'm the director. I started working here as a carpenter because I was really interested in tiny house construction and just wanted to get my foot in the door in the industry and be a part of it somehow. And was very fortunate to work myself into a position where I was designing tiny homes with clients and now own the business. So it's been a really amazing journey, and I really feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be here, designing and building tiny homes.
The main reason that I chose to work with LJM for this tiny house build was Joe's beard. There was something about that majestic orange soup catcher that let me know that this was a ship that had a strong captain. They'd get the job done. Yes, they are talented carpenters. They are the build crew that are responsible for some of my personal favorite tiny homes here in Australia. But if I'm really honest with myself, it was mostly the beard.
I've been involved in designing and building 294 tiny homes and still continuously learning. Like sometimes you feel like you've cracked it and you really know exactly what you're doing, and then it's like, woof, you carry on and you just learn more and more and more. I think I've definitely learned a lot as well, which has been so positive.
Hi, I'm Vicky and I work with our clients to help make their houses look beautiful. I think living in a tiny house myself has given me a bit more experience with the actual realities of living in a tiny house, and sometimes people think that things will work a certain way, but I can advise them that from my experience, this is how it is. It's just a little bit different than that. And I think that helps them trust that I know what I'm talking about and that I can really give them advice that is practical and will work.
Working with Joe and Vicky on the design was such a fun process. You can really tell how much passion and knowledge they have about what really works in a space. And with the three of us working together, I do feel that we've envisioned something truly amazing. So, with the design phase complete, here's what we're going to build. The Rasa Mahal will be a single-level tiny home designed to feel open and spacious throughout. Both Rasa and I are quite tall, so the whole design of this home is centered around high stud heights and features that will help to give the home a sensation of visual expanse, such as the high-feature windows at both ends of the house, the raised countertops, and the use of lighting features to really lift the eye. Both the bedroom and living room doors open up to the outdoors and will eventually be joined by an undercover deck centered around outdoor living. Stepping inside the home, the living room is designed to be spacious and boasts a large timber feature window and stunning native timber rafters. The kitchen is fully featured with abundant storage and ample countertop space. There's an oversized pull-out pantry, dual burner gas hob, oven, as well as an inbuilt fridge and dishwasher. Pocket doors will lead into a simple yet beautifully designed bathroom. Here we have a good-sized shower, nature loo composting toilet, and a feature vanity with illuminated basin and mirror that will be the central showpiece of this room. Beyond the bathroom is the bedroom. Here, simplicity and storage is key. High church-like windows have been placed above the bed to give an ever-changing view of the sky. And now, over the next month, Joe and his team will set to work bringing our dream tiny house design to life.
Designing a tiny house isn't easy. There are so many things to balance and consider to get a design that's going to really truly work for you. But here, I think we're there. I am so excited with this design that we've come up with, and now I cannot wait to watch it come to life. Hey Joe, how's it going, mate?
Hey Bryce, very good, thank you.
Dude, I am so excited about this. Day one of the build.
I know, so good to be here.
Yeah,
what a feeling.
I know, right? It's been a while in coming. We've spent a while actually planning, and now is the day when it all starts coming to life.
Magic will begin.
I think this is probably one of my absolute favorite times of the build, where you just get that anticipation of everything kicking off, because there is just so much that leads up to this moment, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Now the heart's been pumping, and from now we're literally going to see that hard work of the design and everything start coming to life. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah. So today, walk me through what's going to happen.
This house will leave, and then we'll get your trailer, drop that subfloor onto the trailer, start building the frames, and hopefully get some frames stood.
Exciting. Let's get into it.
Absolutely.
All right.
My team at LJM Tiny Homes is everything. It's the heart, it's the core, it's the reason why we are the business we are. I'm so fortunate to have such an amazing team, all the way from the person who does our trailers to the person that delivers them right at the end. Like, everyone has such an intricate, crucial part to do. And because we've worked together now for the last 7 years, I just feel so confident to basically take on any project, because everyone's sort of got my back and everyone's beating to the same drum. So yeah, I'm very grateful for my team, and I couldn't speak highly enough of them.
Seeing the trailer there is this really cool moment, because it's like this moment of pure promise. Right now it's just a trailer, but soon it's going to be this house, and it's such an exciting transformation that's about to take place. Okay, so the trailer is here now.
Yep.
And for me, this is always one of the most exciting parts of the build, where you can sort of start to walk around the space. But one of the things that is so interesting to me is the way that when it's just the trailer, it actually feels really small.
Absolutely.
And then it's so strange how when the walls go up, the space expands and it actually starts to really feel so much more spacious.
Yeah, that's when it starts to feel like your home, and I cannot wait for that moment.
Yeah.
Like bringing the trailer in, standing here with you guys, oh my God, what a feeling.
Isn't it just? Now this trailer looks fantastic. Can you tell me about what this is? And because obviously when we're talking about a tiny house trailer, we are talking about the foundations of the home. So this is maybe even one of the most important aspects of a tiny house, isn't it?
100%. Your tiny house trailer is so important. So we invest a lot into our trailers. We build them out of galvanized steel, and I've had the same trailer builder for all of the tiny homes I've built. So we get a really solid, consistent product. So we use rock and roller shocks, which you can see down there, which are on a tri-axle, so they can move independently on the road. Because we deliver to every state in Australia, it needs to be able to handle that intense road pressure. So also having a solid foundation sets you up for smooth sailing for the rest of the build and the longevity of your home.
Absolutely. The trailer in itself is actually just such a thing of beauty that it's almost a shame to cover it up.
Absolutely.
But I can't wait to cover it up. So what's next?
So what we're going to do is we're going to drill all the holes so we can attach the framing to the trailer. And once we've done that, we've got a beautiful single panel insulated subfloor behind us here. So we're going to lift that up and drop it straight onto the trailer.
And Hugh's already over there framing up?
Absolutely. So we're getting those beautiful frames ready to go so we can put them on as soon as the subfloor's down.
Yeah. Perfect. Let's get into it.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
I'm Hugh. I'm one of the lead carpenters here at LJM, and take the builds right through from the day the trailer comes in to the day that they go out. So I think what I like most about building tiny homes compared to normal residential construction is the creativity that's almost forced upon the build team and the design team, just from getting the best out of that small space. And yeah, some really amazing things can come of that. The easiest way to do it is to actually map everything out on the ground and build to that as a stencil or a jig, and sort of measure in place and create something like this and just repeat it so that both ends end up the same. So we have a really similar approach to how we would build a house in the residential building industry anyhow. So we're all carpenters at LJM with timber framing background, so that's what we prefer to use. It makes it much more customisable and easy to adapt, as the design can often take a different turn partway through the build. So we're building them really strong. We're not only shooting our frames together, we're screwing on top of that as well. We use a lot of brace ply. We are bolting right through the trailer chassis with our frame. So it is a really strong framing design, but it's also quite true to our roots as carpenters from the residential building industry, so it's quite easy for us to work with.
The framing is done differently for every single job. So we do use a timber frame because we're able to custom build for each client depending on what they're wanting to do. It also gives us the freedom to adapt throughout the build, which is huge when building custom. Having that freedom, I think it makes, even if you don't change anything or make a little bit of change, knowing you can do that in a design takes a little bit of pressure off your shoulders. And I just think it's super helpful. So that's why we do use a timber frame, as well as many other positives, like they can transport really well, the flex on the road and come back to true. We just have a really strong confidence in timber because we've worked with timber and it's tested and proven.
Yeah, once those frames are stood, that's the visual progress. That's when you feel like you've done a good morning's work. Even though there's so much more to go still, that's the bit that impresses people when the walls just go up in 10 minutes. And it's like, wow, there's my structure.
With the wall frames up, now we can turn our attention to the rafters and the beams. This is really important. Even though it's so early on in the build process, it's something that's going to be visible right at the end. The blackbutt timber is a locally sourced Australian timber who we've got through Gowan Lee Timbers. We've chosen this timber because of the aesthetic look that it offers us. It's got a lot of different tones, beautiful colours, and I think it's going to really work with the other decisions we've made in the house.
So there's a lot of prep work with that timber. Basically a lot of labour, sanding, oiling, selecting the timber. Blackbutt doesn't grow very straight like a lot of hardwoods do. It is quite difficult to work with. So that timber selection is really important, but it's also very expensive. So we can't just be throwing bits away to pick other pieces. We've just got to understand how that timber is going to behave as it comes within the structure and use the right pieces in the right place.
Hugh and Troy are the carpenters on this project. Both have extensive broad carpentry experience and years of tiny house experience. They've both been involved in many custom projects and I fully trust them to execute any job.
My name's Troy and I'm the head carpenter. I do a lot of the finishing and finesse work, focusing on a lot of niche projects and just, the fine details. I think I just really enjoy having the creative freedom to work and manipulate the timber to look the best it can, and just having a fussiness about me that I just like to make sure everything is aligned and perfect as much as I can.
Just trying to figure out the Breezeway Triangle and how that's best going to look and flow with the gables from each end and have that feeling of continuity, I suppose, running right through the house. Thinking about maybe keeping this dividing wall at the same height as these external ones that the gable land on. So from your side, it's really easy to see that shape of that triangle now and that blackbutt feature. We can then land another piece of blackbutt on top of this wall and sort of picture frame that in that same 28-degree pitch, so you really get that whole opening all the way through from both sides, which is kind of similar to how the 3D renders show it.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
The rafter design is really important that it's fully symmetrical. We've obviously gone 2.5 metres in from each end, so we need to balance those rafters in that space to make sure that that's exactly symmetrical spacings. We need to start thinking about our collar ties, positioning, and how that affects the electrical and aesthetics symmetry. And then we're going to need to bring the two roof lines together.
So we've actually exposed all the rafters of the gable section at each end of the home, also the ridge lines. We've built some collar ties with some custom brass bolts to match the plumbing fittings and the light fittings. And then we also linked the three zones of the house together by opening up some triangles within that gable line that sort of really carry the eye right through from one end of the home to the other.
I really wanted to use the black butt timber in this house because I wanted to celebrate the fact that it's an Australian home. So using a native Aussie timber like black butt was a no-brainer. And I really wanted to use it as this celebratory masterpiece, and those rafters do that perfectly. When you're in the home, immediately your eyes are just drawn up to them, and there's such an incredible feature in the home. They took real skill to craft though. Doing that was not easy. Black butt is not a particularly forgiving timber to work with, and Hugh and Troy absolutely nailed that in this build. I am so thrilled with how they look. This frame is a thing of absolute beauty.
Absolutely. It's just so nice to be in here at this point and see how it's all coming together.
Yeah. So now that the framing is complete, what's the next step?
So we're going to get our electrician in, and we're going to mark out exactly where all our light switch, power points are going, any additional lighting, and put that exactly where we want that, make sure that feels good, as well as roughing in for the aircon. And then after that will be insulation, wrapping, and into internal linings. The electrical plan for this tiny house is incredibly detailed and incredibly well thought out. It's going to take a lot of planning and communication with the whole team to execute this and get this perfect.
My name is Bo. I'm owner of Beaumont Electrical, and I've been a Sparky for LJM since their inception. So I really like the idea of task lighting and ambient lighting. I think that's very important in any home, because when you're sitting down relaxing for an evening, you shouldn't have your main lights on, you should just have normal lights. Some people use lamps, other people use ambient lighting that's hidden and concealed, like in yours.
When you're thinking about things like the plumbing and the electrical in a tiny home, there's quite a lot to consider. It's such a small space, and yet it still contains absolutely everything that a conventional home would. You've still got a fully functioning laundry, a fully functioning bathroom, fully functioning kitchen with all of the set appliances. So there's a lot to consider, and it's really great that we were able to take our time, do the walkthrough of the tiny house, and really consider where exactly we want all of those fixtures to be. Getting the placement of the power outlets right, getting the placement of all of the lights and light switches right was really essential.
Yeah, I'm Tim. I do the plumbing on the tiny homes for LJM. We use all AS 3500 approved plumbing fittings, so basically the same as you'd use in the building industry in Australia. It's done to code, so when they leave, they are technically to the plumbing and building code of Australia. The only real difference is it's more condensed. It's in a smaller space. Like I said, it is the same products we would do with a house. The fit-off gear, like all the tapware, PC items, it's all the same as a house as well, just smaller scale.
So next we insulate the tiny home. Make sure that there's no spot in all of the walls and all of the ceilings that's not perfectly insulated. It's good to take your time with this part because you only get one chance at it, and it makes a huge difference to the comfort of the home long term. We're using wall and ceiling bats, which are both rated to R2.5, and then we're going to use an extra insulation wrap on the outside of the home, which will increase the R rating by another 1.5.
So that's just a breathable membrane that we literally wrap the tiny frame in. It contains our insulation before cladding, so it stops all the insulation falling out. But that is there for any sort of condensation that may form between the cladding and the frame. That's there to protect everything inside that frame and allow that condensation to get out.
With the house now insulated, we're now doing the internal linings using VJ panel linings and the whole internal fix out. So we're gonna make sure that our sheets start in the same positioning so the line's perfectly balanced on all walls all the way over the roof line. It's really important that every line hits the other line and everything balances. In this home particularly, because of the effort and energy towards symmetry as a whole, all of those lines matching each other go a long way to achieving that. As a part of our internal fit out, while we're putting all the internal walls in, we will be also installing all windows. Because we're not sure exactly where this tiny home might end up, we've opted for double glazed windows from Tweed Coast Glass.
Window placement is really important in a tiny home. It is how we frame the outdoor space. With this design, we've tried really hard to beautifully line up all of the places where the windows meet each other in the line. So all of our door heights and window heights are exactly the same place with the exception of our feature window on the gable. Even our church-like windows on the other end are designed to start where the door finishes. So it does create this sort of real sense of balance throughout the home. One of the things that I find particularly jarring in architecture is when windows are haphazardly placed, and that was something I really tried to avoid in this design.
So the feature window, we decided to pull the reveals, which is the timber frame that surrounds the window that comes with it once it's delivered. We decided to replace that with some black butt that we have left over. So that's just a matter of machining the black butt to suit, picking some stuff with some really nice grain to sort of pop. And we also machined the architrave to go around the window as well and put that right at the end of the gable of the living area, which just really draws that black butt right up into the gable.
With the internal linings now completed, we can start painting. So our amazing painter, Frankie, is gonna get in and tape it all up and work his magic. It'll be quite a big transformation from now until when it's painted. We've opted to do our Dulux Wash and Wear Vivid White for all walls and ceiling. And we're gonna go with our Tranquil Green cavity sliding doors, which, that will look amazing.
So my name is Francesco. Know me as Frankie. I'm the painter at LJM. I've been working with them for the last 2 years. I do like when clients make the combination between timber stains and the white. I love the contrast. Your project has a lot of light. So in this particular house, I had to be more detailed with tiny details in the walls and on the frames, because the fact that you have so much light, it's going to show up absolutely everything.
A lot has happened in the last few days, and we are standing in a different house right now, aren't we?
It certainly has, Bryce. The team has been busy.
They sure have.
No, it's moving really quickly now. So exciting to really start to get a feel of where those windows sit, and before we taped up all of the beautiful black butt, like that popping through on the VJ.
Looks so good, doesn't it?
Yep, it's come together really well with the black butt and the internal linings. I just can't wait to see the next few steps now.
Yeah, me too. So what are the next steps?
Next steps, we're going to continue to be painting for the next 2 days, getting that all absolutely perfect, and then we're going to be putting the floor down. And that one is super exciting because we'll be able to untape the windows and really start to get a feel of that colour systems coming together.
I can't wait to see it.
Me too. We're on the home run now, so with the house painted, we can get our flooring down and start our joinery. So with our flooring, we've opted to go with a herringbone pattern, and with much discussion, we've lined that herringbone point in the centre of the house so that that opens our eye and brings us all the way down through the kitchen and into the lounge. So we use a vinyl flooring plank for our ultra lightweight flooring, and we get that from Carpet Kingdom, who've supplied us with our hard-wearing flooring for the last 7 years.
My name is Patrick. I'm originally from Germany. I'm mostly doing the flooring, the silicone and the fit-off, because that's what I did back home, and I enjoy that role and I take pride in it. Yeah. When we do the flooring, it's first I get it all lined up pretty nice and neat, because it's not tongue and groove, it's all butting in, so it has to be really accurate, like no gap at all. Lay the whole house, and then I just fold it back and then glue it like row by row, glue it down under the skirting, and then at the end I just do the silicone everywhere. So with the herringbone, that is a next step up. Like, it takes longer, it has to be even more precise. I think it gives the house a real good feature, and it's worth the extra step, but you really have to get that middle line perfect, and then the 45 degrees where they butt into each other. It has to be perfect, especially at the start. And then you just work your way back once you got it right. And yeah, it does take a bit more, but it's totally worth it.
Flooring is often treated as an afterthought in a design, but it's often one of the things that I will first notice when I walk into a home. With this, it was important that our flooring tied in really beautifully with the timber features in the tiny house. But I also wanted to do something that would really kind of make a feature of it in its own right. And so that herringbone pattern was the perfect choice. Within this home, we've created this open central channel. And that central channel creates this amazing sense of symmetry in the design. Running the herringbone straight through the center of that helped to further accentuate that sense of symmetry. And also the way that it ran right into the feature window just really made that pop.
The cabinetry going in is in a really exciting step. So we build all of our cabinetry and joinery in-house at the factory, makes it easy to get it millimetre perfect, and then we can install it straight into the tiny home. So with our kitchen, laundry and bed base, that's all fully customised with customised storage, which I'm very lucky to have our in-house joiner Yannick, who's also helped design and install all of our tiny homes. So any tricky questions we've got about how do we make that cupboard work, or how can we get the gas strut bed to work to the level we need it to, he is a mastermind with all joinery, so another good person to have in those design debriefs.
My name's Yannick. I do all the construction and installation of all the joinery at LJM. So it's the kitchens, bathrooms, laundries and all the fit outs that goes inside the tiny homes. We get the flat packs in, the doors go away raw and they come back freshly painted, which is quite cool to get them back. And I knock it up all here. We sort of set the joinery up before it goes in the tiny home, and then we'll throw it in.
The joinery is right up there, I would say, with, if not the most important part. It's a whole stage in the design process about mapping out that joinery practically, but then the aesthetic choices that you choose are going to flow on to the rest of the whole home. And yeah, in every space you have joinery. So it's so important that you execute that and get that right. And the joinery has to marry in with the rest of the home design. Like it has to balance with that window, and it has to end right there on the door so that it doesn't look like it's a waste of space, or, you know, like the joinery really does have to marry in with everything else.
The cabinetry in this house has all been really thoroughly thought through. It's this balance of creating space and creating a visual aesthetic in the home, keeping everything nice and low profile and below hip height, that I think goes a long way to further accentuating the sense of space in the tiny house. We didn't really have anything too high above the eye to focus on, but at the same time keeping it really functional. Obviously, in any home, it's important that you really consider storage. So we wanted as much storage as possible, we wanted as much functionality as possible, but we also wanted the space to remain open and minimalist, and I feel like we've created a really good balance with the joinery in this home. Utilizing the space under the bed was really important to us. Beds take up so much room in any space, and so it's only natural that we utilize that resource of space and build storage into that area. I know that you can do it with drawers and a whole bunch of other mechanisms, but for me, the simplest and the most elegant solution is simply the lift-up bed mechanism. For the internet in this home, we're going to be using Starlink, and it's really good this early on in the build to be considering what you want to do for internet, because if you do want to run cables through the wall, or if you're wanting to do a really tidy installation, it's a great time to be thinking about that. In this case, we have allocated one of our top kitchen cabinets to be where we're going to house the Starlink router. So we wanted a very tidy solution to be able to run the Starlink cable outside to the satellite. So what we've done is we have installed a conduit in the wall. This conduit has a pull wire through it, so that once we're on site, we're going to be able to set up the satellite in situ. We're going to be able to run the satellite cable straight through there and into the router. So it's going to be nice and tidy with no extra penetrations in the wall that don't need to be there. That just runs out the bottom of the trailer, and then it's nicely taped up inside the cabinet right now.
We've got our bench tops all in and our splashbacks going on. We can start to do our final fit off. So our amazing electrician Bo's going to come back in, Tim is going to come back in and do all of our plumbing fit off. We're going to get Mick, our gas fitter, to come in and fit off the oven and the cooktop and the gas hot water system. So it's a real working bee at this time to get all the final fit off points done. I must say I'm most excited to see how these pendant lights and alabaster lighting come in.
One thing that was really important for me in this build was the lighting design. I put a tremendous amount of effort into planning the lighting of this home, and this is something that I've been really wanting to experiment with. I've created this lighting design which is based on these two moods. One which is a task light mood, where we're going to have this sort of brighter light, these beautiful pendants that are going to be dropping down to illuminate the spaces purposefully. But even those task lights are going to be filtered through this gorgeous alabaster stone, which means that we can bring the light further down into the space and have it illuminate these areas without it being too intense. And then beyond that, we've got this ambient lighting design. These are lights that you can't see the source of the light from anywhere in the house. They're going to be hidden in the rafters, within the collar ties. They're going to be shining down from below the cabinetry kicks, and it's going to create this really special illumination in the home without the direct light that could be sort of harsh or jarring. So the idea is that for most of the time in the house, you're going to be able to have that dimmable ambient light just giving you this beautiful light fill without source or direction, but illuminating gorgeous features in the home like the cabinetry and like the rafters. And then when you want to be able to focus on a task in the home like cooking, you've got separate lights that illuminate that, albeit in another really beautiful way.
I'm so excited about the Basin product from Basin Lab. As soon as I heard about this product, I really wanted to introduce it to Bryce and Rasa. I just felt that it was going to be, the bathroom being in the sort of middle of the tiny home, it was an amazing sort of feature to appreciate every time you go through the bathroom, and it will just help with the lighting and let off an incredible aesthetic feeling. Another interesting transformation is taking place on the outside. We've got Sparky doing all of our external cladding and roofing. So we've opted for ColourBond. We've had that supplied by Apex Metal Roofing, where we get all of our ColourBond profiles from. We've gone for ColourBond Ultra in the trim deck profile, really helping us just bring our eye line up, and we're able to use that for all wall linings and the roof linings. This is going to be a challenge for Sparky because it's not an easy job with a 3-point pitched roof, but we've got a good game plan, we know what we need to do, and I've got all the confidence in the world.
Hi, I'm Sparky, I'm the roofer here. I do everything that's metal on the outside of the tiny homes. Yeah, my job starts basically, frames are up, it's all wrapped, insulated. I come along and mark out where the toe mold sits on the bottom, do that first, get it all level on both ends, work my way back to the front of the trailer. Then I go back to the back and do my wall cladding sheets along while adding in as well my window and door flashings. I really work towards final touches, which are like the gutters. So that's just the main thing, getting everything on from the ground up, and then gutters to finish off, and then downpipes. So with the gable roof, it's a little tricky, and with the skillion as well, but we make do with all our safety and making sure I'm harnessed up. It's a little bit of just maneuvering around, but it's simple just as starting from one end and laying the sheets and then screwing as I go. What I love most about roofing is probably the climbing up and down the ladders and the trestles and the heights. I really love that. I'm a risk taker within my limits and within safety guidelines. But yeah, just that energy and always moving around. Yeah, I do love that, that vibe.
With the exterior cladding of this home, we chose to go for a product which was really low maintenance. Rasa and I, we travel a lot for our work. That means we actually don't really get to spend a tremendous amount of time at home. Because of that, it was important that we had a product that would basically look after itself. We didn't want something that required a lot of care and maintenance. We wanted a hardy product that we would be able to kind of leave in the elements and know that we didn't have to really worry about our home being looked after in that regard. We are so close to the finish line right now, and this place is just looking absolutely incredible, isn't it?
It's really looking stunning. I'm so glad we've gone with the trim deck profile with your beautiful external lights. The guttering's coming along, looks great with the windows. Yeah, loving it.
Yeah, absolutely stoked. Really happy about the decision we made with going for the Ultra and the ColourBond as well. Just having that extra hardiness and the ability to park it in sea spray zones, I think is going to be a real bonus.
Couldn't agree with you more. I feel so happy with that. There's not one part of me that wishes this was matte now.
Yeah.
Seeing it, it's just, it looks top notch.
It really does. And of course, we've got all of the external electrics now installed as well. The air conditioning's on, the gas is all fitted, so we're pretty much good to go.
We're watertight. What an exciting stage.
Yeah, Sparky's just got a bit to finish still on the gutters, and then we're done.
Yep. Everything's completed. Wow, what a feeling. So we're gonna get in nice and early in the morning and hook the tiny home up and bring her out into the daylight. Exciting times.
With the build complete, it was time to pull the tiny house outside and into the light. Seeing a tiny home for the very first time in natural light is a really cool experience, and the Rasa Mahal was every bit as impressive as we had hoped.
Working with the team at LJM, one thing that's not wasted on me is everybody seems to really enjoy what they do. If I approach one of the builders with an idea or with a way that I think we could perhaps approach something differently or something else to try in the space, I've not once been met with any resistance to do that, even if it means that it's going to be slightly harder to accomplish. It's been exactly the opposite of that. Those ideas have been met with excitement, which makes me feel really good because it means that we can experiment, we can push the boundaries, we can do things that are a little bit different, and having that sort of playful nature in the build I think is really important, especially on a custom build, something that we're doing for the very first time where there is a lot of experimentation in it. It's great to be working with people who are not just putting things in the too hard basket. I genuinely feel are loving what they're doing, and they just want to create the best result for us, which is awesome.
Everything that I could have dreamed of, I saw in that house when we brought it out for the first time. It's just so beautiful. Like doing a 360-degree walk of the house, I was like, wow, I'm gonna get some steps in today. Like, it is a stunner. It's so beautiful. Like, I love the whole like aesthetic shape. I love being able to see through the windows and see the different rooms in the house and appreciate it. There's a sense of intrigue seeing it from the outside and wanting to jump in. I'm so stoked with how it's turned out.
The last 28 days have been amazing. Watching this team of craftsmen do what they do, building tiny homes, each with their own incredible specialties and skill sets that they've brought to this home, has been such a gift. I've loved working on every single aspect of this tiny house build, right from the first design stages through to now pulling the tiny house out of the workshop and seeing it for the first time in natural light, which is so special. This whole project has been immensely enjoyable for me, and now I am just so excited to share what we've built with you. So tune in next week where we're going to be doing the reveal tour of our new dream tiny house on wheels.